Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. So I'm sure you're more interested in the Grand National analysis video, the four that I like there, which is the previous video. But these videos are always worth watching as well. The handicap analysis, which looks at horses that have generally dropped in a handicap, that I think are now very well handicapped. Sometimes they don't always win next time out, but couple of runs down the line, they certainly get their act together and win races. And we've got a mixture of flat, we've got hurdlers and chasers all appearing in this video, as there's not too many, so I thought I'd put them all together. The first horse that I want to talk about is a horse called Mckail, who has dropped significantly in the weights over the last however long, 10 months. Was actually last seen running on the turf, back in September 2023, finishing 5th. That came off a mark of 70, has dropped another pound down to 61, but bizarrely he's dropped a pound on the turf for a run on the all-weather. Never totally understand that. It could be a very, very clever play from Ian Williams. The horse isn't young. How old is Mckail now? Let's just have a look. It's now 9 years old. You can see they've been running him quite often. 30th of March, 1st of April. They obviously thought that he was unlucky when he was second 2 runs ago. So it's not that long ago that he was actually running okay. Now, I'm looking forward to seeing him back on the turf, and I think there's some much easier races to win now. He's obviously been quite highly tried in the past, including multiple runs at Epsom in the Epsom Dash. Not going to get in this year off a mark of 60. So what do I think they could do with him? Well, there's a couple of races that they could aim him at. They can run him in April at Musselburgh. It is April, isn't it? Run him on the 21st of April at Musselburgh in this 5 furlong class 4 handicap for horses rated 59-71. Now, obviously, rated 61. He's not guaranteed to get in that. If he does, he'll be off a very, very light weight. But that's a class 4 race. Or they could look at a class 5, go even easier. A 5 furlong race at Pontefract for horses rated 51-70, as you can see here. Now, why do I like those two races? Well, Musselburgh and Pontefract. Let's have a look at his form at those courses. Musselburgh. He's got a win. I've got 193. Obviously, it goes on to the second page. That is why. Let's just load up the second page of his runs. He's had that many runs, he's actually made it onto 2 pages, which is a strange thing for a flat horse. He's got a 9th here, and he's also got a 3rd. So his last run actually at the course, he won off a much higher mark. I then looked at Pontefract, so his form, as I mentioned, is 193 at Musselburgh, or 391, depending on which order you take it in. And then I also said Pontefract. So let's have a look at his runs at Pontefract. Nothing in page 1, so it was a little while ago, his 2 runs at Pontefract. We've got a 3rd place here on the 19th of April, and there is one more. Here it is. He's got a win on the 15th of April 2019. So actually his runs in April, 15th of April and the 19th of April have resulted in a 1st and a 3rd off higher marks. So if he ran on the 22nd of April, which might be the right time to catch him, in an easier race, I think he would go very close. And to be honest, that's probably the better race, this race here, because it'd be smack bang in the middle of the handicap, whereas he might be out of the handicap if he actually ran at Musselburgh, because he'd be right at the bottom, and if we get too many horses at the top, he would obviously be out of the handicap. So yeah, I think this race at Pontefract on the Monday the 22nd of April is ideal for Mckail, and it just shows that you can find races even for horses that are very lowly rated. He's only rated 61, as I said, but there is a race for him. The next horse I want to talk about is Tritonic, who I thought ran okay on the all-weather off 97. I didn't really want him on the all-weather. I had highlighted him for the Queen's Cup, which is the race he ran in, but that's over mile and 6 on the turf. The Queen's Cup was rearranged to Kempton. It was over 2 mile on the all-weather. Not the same race. He's run okay. Finished 5th. Never really looked like he was going to win. I think he's much better when he gets back on that turf. And he dropped another pound down to 96. I would be looking at this race here, the Devil's Dyke Handicap Stakes, over a mile and 6 at Newmarket on the Rowley Mile. Now, it's not the July course. and his form on the Rolly Mile is better. It's 2:45.0. His only poor run, or his only run outside the top 5, came when running in the Cesarewitch over 2 mile 2, which was too far. I think the 1 mile 6 trip will actually be perfect for him. He's ran a good second over a mile and 4, but I'm convinced he wants a mile and 6. And we're still looking at that run when he was 4th over a mile and 6 behind Post Impressionist, Keys Chorister, I said it right this time, and Enemy. I think that's still very, very good form. So yeah, that's where I want to see him next. Go to Newmarket. I did mention in my tweets, though, that I never seem to get the Mckail family horses right. I think I've got where they're going with them, and then they end up somewhere completely different. So yeah, this is where I hope to see him in the Devil's Dyke Handicap Stakes on the 5th of May. Is that Guineas Day? It is 1,000 Guineas Day. The next horse that I want to talk about, another flat horse, is Fresh, who's dropped £2 to 93. You can forget his last run. That was his comeback run, and he does that often. Has a comeback run. You can see he actually finished second in it last year, so he ran better last year, before going on to finish 4th. Sorry, that was in 2022. Before finishing 4th in the Victoria Cup. That's where I think we'll see him this year. You can see he did a similar thing last year, finished 5th on the All Weather before going for the Victoria Cup. Pretty confident we'll see him in the Victoria Cup again this year, which he should get in, and he probably needs to run a big race to get in at Royal Ascot, particularly if he wants to go back for that Wokingham, which is over 6. Because of 93, he won't get in. He is the type of horse that I can see off 93, though, going and doing something like this. We can see in July 2022 and September 2022, he actually won 2 feature races. The first being, was it the Balmoral? First being the Moet and Chandon International Stakes for 77,000 for the winner, and the second one being the National Racehorse Week Handicap. That's the kind of thing I could see Fresh doing this year off his low mark of 93. Wins a race, goes up to 96, can win again off 96. So potentially the Victoria Cup, and then maybe off to Royal Ascot. The Victoria Cup is the 11th of May. Moving to hurdlers, Knickerbocker Glory, cheek pieces didn't help. That's probably his first run, disappointing run in a while. His 6th at Newbury, his 5th at Sandown, they were still decent efforts, just didn't quite get close enough really to challenge. But they were in the Betfair Hurdle and the Imperial Cup. Now, he's dropped another £2 to 132. It was 137 in the Imperial Betfair Hurdle, 135 in the Imperial Cup. So, you know, he's £3 and £3 and £5 lower than when finishing 6th and 5th in decent races. I don't know whether they'll solely target him and returning to the Betfair Hurdle. It was a good run. I think they'll probably return for this race here, the Seat Unique Handicap Hurdle. I don't know what it'll be called next year. 32 grand, kick off their season with a win. Sometimes his form just does tail off towards the end of the season. You can see he finished 9th at Aintree before returning to win at Ascot. Maybe this was his disappointing run before returning next season to win, but he is one that I'll still be keeping an eye on. Obviously they could go with fences, but I think they'll stick to hurdles. Another Dan Skelton horse that I think will be weighted till next season now is Calico, who dropped £2 to 140. Now, it's interesting that Harry doesn't always ride this horse. He must be quite difficult, or Harry's not totally keen on him. You can see the last 3 runs, Harry's not actually ridden him. And that came off the back of Harry having previously finished 2nd and 4th at Cheltenham in good races, when I thought Harry actually got it slightly wrong. Whether the owners have had a word and said we don't really want Harry to have a go, and they've asked for different jockeys on, I'm not sure. But he's, as such, he's dropped back down to a mark of 140. I think this is where they'll be coming the beginning of next season. The epic value at William Hill Handicap is for 31 grand. This is right at the beginning of the season, late October. This is where I think we will see Calico at the beginning of next season. You know, he ran his best race probably this season when 2nd on his return at Cheltenham in November. I think they'll come for a slightly earlier race in October and hope to catch those horses that just need the run a bit more off guard. One more horse, and this one I imagine Seamus Mullins was a little bit disappointed. So Marauder got dropped £4 to 127, which won't do his chances of getting in the Scottish National or the Bet365 Gold Cup any favours at all. He's dropped significantly in the weights from those, and I don't know whether he's going to get in any of those. If he does, he would go very, very close in both of those. If we actually look at his form over 3.5 mile plus, so 3.5 miles, say he's a real stamina horse, he's got just 2 runs. This one here at Exeter and this one here at Sandown. So if we have a look at those, when he was winning at Exeter, he was winning the just a moderate handicap, beating Classic Ben and Len Brennan. Nothing really exciting, but he did win. It was a long distance race over 3 mile 6. On his other occasion that he ran over 3.5 mile plus, he finished second behind Kitty's Light, beating Revels Hill. That for me is very, very good form. And Kitty's Light had to run him down coming to the last. That's really, really strong form. If he can get in any race over 3.5 mile, the Scottish National or the Bet365 Gold Cup, you would have to look at Marauder and give him a chance. If he doesn't, there's a really winnable race for him, and it's this race here, the Quinbet Highlands National. It's over 3 mile 6. It's for horses rated 0 to 130. He would get in that comfortably. He would be the best horse, and I would expect him to win that. So if they do think they're not going to get in the Scottish National and they're not going to get in the Bet365 Gold Cup, get him entered at Perth in this Highland National, and I think he would take all of the beating. So there's some horses from the flat, hurdles and chases, looking at all different angles and different ends of the spectrum. Mckail, if he goes to Pontefract for this race here, 5 furlong race at Pontefract, I'd be very, very keen on him. And I'd probably say the other one that I'd be most keen on would be Marauder if he ran in the Highland National over 3 mile 6. So there's a 5 furlong horse and a 3 mile 6 horse.